everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I thought today's video was quite fitting because a lot of people's bearded dragons are going into brumation this time of year, and Humphrey is too. So I'll start with Humphrey. So about a month ago she stopped eating and I was very worried. I knew brumation was a thing, but she hadn't ever really done it before. In hindsight, I think it was last year and it was around the same time. So I'd put that down to brumation, but I didn't really think it was that, and I was worried that she was ill. So I was trying loads of different things to see if she'd eat, but nothing helped. So I've just put it down to brumation now. I'm monitoring her weight and she hasn't really lost anything. So she's very inactive, and as you can see, she isn't under her heat lamp here. She's on her shelf in the corner up there. We got Humphrey in the December. She didn't brumate at all then, and she didn't brumate the October or anything, so the year after that. But the year after that, so the second year we had her, I think, as I said earlier, in hindsight, I think she did, and then this year she is. So she didn't while she was younger than a year old. So Humphrey has just moved from the corner to here, and I think she wants to be in the video. She hasn't moved in 24 hours, and then as I start filming she comes over. So we'll see if she goes down into the corner. Okay. So as you guys just saw, Humphrey wanted to be in the video. But as I said, she is semi-brumating because not all of them go into full sleep. So she has stopped eating and she's more inactive, but she still moves around and she isn't asleep. So as you just saw, she is still moving. And as you can see here, I don't have any food in her food bowl. But every so often I do offer a locust down here, and she either takes it or she doesn't. So I'll get on with the main questions people have about it now. So in the wild, brumation would occur when temperatures started dropping and food started to become scarce. So this would usually be in obviously the winter months when insects die off because of the cold weathers and harsh conditions. So that is why they mainly start going into brumation in winter months. So it's basically just a sort of hibernation for reptiles, because in the wild the food would be dying off, so they wouldn't have any food, so it's basically an instinct to survive, mainly for the same reasons that mammals hibernate. So it would happen throughout the winter months, and then when spring finished, they'd start waking up. So obviously, as they were wild animals and they've been domesticated over the years, their bodies haven't adapted to obviously the environment that they're in now in people's houses and things, with warm temperatures and how it doesn't really change in the winter. So they haven't had a chance to adapt their bodies to know that it doesn't really need to happen anymore. So that's why they still go into brumation. So obviously every bearded dragon is different. Some go into full brumation and they just sleep. They don't wake up. Some, they do long periods of sleep and then they wake up for say a day or so, or a couple hours, and then go back to bed. And some, like Humphrey, semi-brumate and they sleep or just become lethargic and just stay in one place. So it looks like they're ill, but they're some sort of semi-brumating. So that's basically just what brumation is. So it's just factors of the environment that induce the brumation period. It's unlikely for them to do it under a year old. I'm not really sure of the reason why, but because they're younger they need more food, and it's just very unlikely for them to do it under a year. So if your bearded dragon is under a year old and he stopped eating, just monitor the weight. It could happen, but it's very unlikely. So after this age they can then brumate every year until they pass away, really. They don't really stop at any age either. So brumation can really it can happen at any time throughout the year. So it doesn't actually have to be throughout the winter. A lot of people's bearded dragons go into brumation at the end of December/January. Some go in the summer and most go in this time-ish, so around October, November. So when the bearded dragon goes into brumation, when they're starting to go in, they'll gradually stop eating, they'll start being more lethargic, they'll be more inactive. They'll still be quite alert, but they won't be as active. So some bearded dragons gradually stop eating and some just stop randomly one day. So Humphrey worried me because leading up to it she was eating every day, like 5 locusts every other day and vegetables, eating good amounts. And then she just suddenly stopped about the end of September, I think it was. I'm not too sure. But that's why it worried me, because just one day she went off her vegetables and she wasn't eating as many insects. So that was why I was worried, and I was trying to coax her with vegetables by not feeding insects and sort of things. But then I asked around a bit, and people said she could be semi-brumating, because I obviously knew about brumation, but she wasn't asleep, so it was kind of confusing to me. But now that I've searched it up, they all have different patterns and things. It's basically they just start to go inactive and they stop eating. So this is how you'll know if your bearded dragon is brumating. They'll start going away from their heat lamp and they'll stop eating and they'll just become more lethargic and inactive. There's a fine line between illness and brumation, okay, and this is where a lot of people get worried, and this is why I got worried. So obviously if a bearded dragon is ill, they stop eating, they go inactive, and they don't move as much. And if a bearded dragon is brumating, they stop eating, they go away from their light, and they're inactive and lethargic. So they're basically exactly the same thing, and as I said earlier, brumation can happen any time throughout the year, but it's most likely going to happen in the winter months, so October, November and December. But the main factor is that if they're brumating, they will not lose weight. They'll only lose a few grams of weight, probably 10 at most. But if a bearded dragon is ill, they will lose a lot of weight, so they may lose 50 grams or 100 grams if they're not eating. So this is why it's really important to weigh your bearded dragon regularly, and if you do think that if they're really dull and if you get an intuition or if they are losing weight, definitely go to the vet. Some people wonder if you can speed up the process or something like that, but I think that it's best to just leave them to their own devices, basically. If you try and keep waking them up, they just get cranky, they'll just get annoyed, and sometimes you can disturb their sleep patterns so that it actually makes them sleep longer, which obviously if you're trying to speed up the process you don't want. So there may be some ways, but I wouldn't advise doing them because I think it's natural for them to want to brumate, and I think it's human interference if you try and speed it up or stop it from happening. So this week's follower of the week is Megori's Monsters. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. And there's also fireworks going off, so I apologise about that. It is much later now because I did forget to film this earlier, so I'm filming it now. But anyway, I chose her because we've been following each other for quite a while now, and she's still an active follower and she's very friendly. We've spoken quite a lot on direct message and things, and she also has really cute pets, so you guys should definitely go and follow her. So she's been following for quite a while and likes most of my photos, so I thought she deserved to be this week's follower of the week. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!